Recording in progress.
When Julie's dad was still alive, we used to do a little birthday quiz. We had, who was your dad's favorite Cleveland Indians catcher? And one of these choices was Ted Kaczynski. I was surprised how many people picked that.
Or why that's so blurry.
Because it's Thursday
That is Thursday.
and it's drunk.
Autofocus is autofocusing in the wrong direction or something.
So I've been crash coursing phishing email campaign stuff. It's astonishing what you can do.
Yeah, what's astonishing?
What, that you can pretend to be the CIA.gov or MI5.UK.
Oh, yeah, you can become somebody's DNS server. They're out
Oh,
of luck.
no, you can just spoof their domains. Because they're not set right.
I know. Many years ago. I'm trying to remember who this was tied to. Earthlink, maybe. You could buy this keyboard with a 4-line by 80 character display to do email. It had a modem built in. It was really pretty cool. I set up a 486, which was reasonably current at the time, and just spoofed all of their DNS so that it thought that my box was Earthlink. And I used that thing for sending email for a long time.
That
It was Earthlink.
little mail station.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
It was garbage, but it just kept going.
See, I think there was Earthlink version and a Yahoo version and AOL maybe.
Ooh. Oh, no, they couldn't do AOL. It didn't have any bubble gum. Any garbage to add.
There were 4 or 5 different versions of it though, and
What was the,
it was that one was one of the easiest early hackable devices
Yeah.
to spoof.
yeah,
And I've even seen people who give them to like grandparents still, and they set up a little server and spoof it
the Raspberry Pi with a USB modem on it. and
so that they could still use it like to at least get emails. I'm not gonna be shy. I'm gonna eat one of these, at least one. I mean, somebody,
And they're there for anybody who wants them.
somebody spent a lot of time making me some cupcakes.
So, it took more time to scrape it out of the bowl into the cupcake things. I have yet to find a good way to get just the right amount of batter into a cupcake paper and not make a mess with strings all over the muffin tins.
So they make ice cream scoops in regulated sizes. Those work very well. And also pancake batter extruders. They've got a,
Now, I don't have one of those. My wife has several of the measured scoops.
Mhm.
And I've tried that. And I don't know whether it's the batter viscosity or what. That there's more on the outside of the scoop
No.
than there is on the inside.
well, the pancake batter thing would work. That has a handle you just squeeze and it's basically a funnel with a little flapper on the bottom.
I don't have one of those.
Have a spear. I brought dumb toys from work. This was in use
Dumb smart toys or
up
just
until
dumb?
last week. This is a Sun
Button mouse.
3-button ball mouse. It still works. It
Yeah.
doesn't skip or anything.
Yeah.
Guy just said, I want an optical mouse. I'm like, why? Jesus Christ, this thing is like 18 years old and it works well,
Oh,
and
wow.
the buttons feel good.
And it probably was an expensive mouse back in the day.
And you can look
Well,
at it and see that it wasn't trash.
I got the keyboard too. And they're both USB. So this was 94.
Yeah.
It was the year.
The dawn of,
Yeah.
So that's 30 years.
I had,
And I want to, okay, it still works. The ball is clean. This has been on some guy's desk and he really,
Like cleans it every week. That's why I want an optical.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. But this was a thing that I wanted to bring up. The quality of older computer peripherals.
yeah,
This is a 1994
Oh, that's cool.
space ball.
oh,
Every button still works, including this one. It uses the little mini AT whatever with an extra pair of pins, because on the other end, it's a DB9 with a power input.
yeah.
This works. It works beautifully. 9600 baud.
I have never, I'm aware of these, but I have never seen one of these in person.
So that has 6 strain gauges arranged 45 degrees off around the shaft that thing is on. And it uses those to interpolate up, down, twist, roll, yaw.
That is awesome. In inventory 8 of 96.
Yeah, that's when Siemens got it. And then there's this one. This is the new version of the space ball. This one's USB.
Okay,
It moves a lot more. It's got 2 mouse buttons. They got rid of the 8. Feel that. It's sticky. The rubber is degrading.
Yeah.
It irritates me greatly.
Optical power.
Yeah, no, there's nothing for it to get into. Well, maybe the switches, but that's a nice heavy thing on your desk and it moves more. That you're applying force, but it doesn't do anything. And there is a button under your.
yeah,
That, even that one still works. You can replace that switch. You go up through the shaft and I've disassembled it, but I didn't do any cleaning.
I know these were very interesting. Back,
So you don't push that to click. The clicks are on the side. And so that was for doing 3D modeling where you rotate around a thing.
SketchUp.
It might work with SketchUp. I don't.
I had, about the same era, I had a
Yeah.
trackball that was really nice for doing SketchUp. And everything around. I don't know what it is with my current mouse, but I cannot get it to go into the rotational mode without having to go up and pick it up and then.
Probably middle click, which you might have to emulate with a double click, side double.
Yep. The other mouse I had, I could depress the scroll wheel and it would go into the 3D.
Well, yeah, that's the third mouse button.
that's the the middle button.
And this one, would be a loan, I guess it was last fall, I loaned my machine to a friend of mine who came to me just before we left for vacation. He said, "You gotta help me, my computer's down, I can't do any business." So it's like, well, I don't have time to fix your machine. And when you mention electronics, he just like glazes over. So I know he's not gonna fix it. So I just picked up the machine, took it to his house, set it down, plugged it in, and there you go. When I got back, he must have taken a sledgehammer to the mouse or something. I disassembled it, I looked at it, I spit on it, I blew on it, I shook it, I cursed at it. And it was worthless when I got it back from it. And the replacement, yeah, it's a nice mouse, but I hate it.
My, so, and Annie, my oldest, her husband has, oh, wow, that is,
Solid little thing, isn't it?
that's got some, but he's a scrounger. He kind of like you. He was down somewhere in some HOA and they were throwing away just a butt ton of computers. And he pulled out like 7 or 8 of them and took them home. Most of them didn't have hard drives. Most of them were servers. So he couldn't find the hard drives. He knew enough about them to know that he needed hard drives. But one of them he pulled out had like 16 gigs of RAM.
Mhm.
It was an i7. It was a lower end i7. It was only a quad core, but with hyper-threading, it showed up as 8 cores. And it had a 4 terabyte hard drive in it. And they just threw this thing out. Of course, it's 20 years old at this point, but I'm like, I went through I installed Linux Mint on it for him so he would have something to use on it, and scanned the hard drive, and it found two or three bad sectors of the hard drive, and I'm like, why did they get rid of this thing? I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
okay, fine that the hard drive has a few bad sectors and you don't really know what the history is, but it's a 4 terabyte hard drive.
Julie and I go to garage sales occasionally, and we stopped at one, and there's a computer out there, so I don't really rate a computer, but I did tell them to look at it.
I've 7 going
I
up,
tip it over and pull the cover off,
14 years
and
old.
they've gone in and cut all of the,
Okay.
all the wires.
Yeah, I can use also, it was the first gen.
Oh, we didn't want anybody to get
Oh.
our data.
which
Well,
is
they pulled their hard
Hard
drive.
It was DDR crew.
Yeah.
But
Well, they all from DDR3 and up. But they were tri-chips, so should have been 6 chips. That's why they were so much faster than the other generations.
okay.
They took the 8th gen to be outpace the 1st gen. i7.
It was an incredibly smooth machine.
Oh,
Last toy.
A thin client?
I don't know.
No.
This is an i7 8700T. It has 6 cores, 12 threads. At the moment, it's only got 16 gigs and a half terabyte hard drive. But these have been showing up on eBay. And there's one company that has bad reviews, like they screw with the BIOS so that it doesn't recognize that it is on a power supply that doesn't deliver enough power.
Yeah.
I'm like, we can deal with that. So it had Windows 11, I'm assuming, I don't know, it was never allowed to boot. I got 3 of these things. I'm gonna use them to make a little tiny a miniature cluster. This one is perfect. I'm gonna take one into work each day and play with them there. This one all day long sat there running benchmark. It seems to be working properly. It's all 12 cores are humming along. It's got the right power supply, draws about 38 watts. Full load at 3.2 gigahertz. I'm very happy with it.
Yep.
Back.
Don't give it to Barry.
I was saying, you're having it, Debbie?
It has wireless, which
I mean,
I'm taking out,
I saw that.
and for $15 each, I've got M.2 to 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapters. So I'll take out the wireless chip, plug that in. It even had, the holes match up with the holes on the back of that thing, so that you can just hook it up. So I'll have a gigabit port, a 2.5 gigabit port. I have 3 of these. I have a little tiny toy NAS that has 4 2.5 gigabit ports, so I'll just run a cable directly to it, set all the IPs manually. I can run VMs on it. I can't run a VM across 2 of them, but I can run anything up to 10 cores easily. And most of the stuff I put together is 2 or 4 cores anyway, so I can run multiples of those on each one. My intention is to leave one machine shut down and be able to do a wake on LAN if I want to play with it. I've got the IKVM and a 4-port switch that it can control, so it's a power switch.
That's the same model number that of what he found was a Dell 70
Well, servers are 3-digit numbers.
70
70,
7060 is what he had found. It wasn't a server, it was a
Okay. So the
but it was a huge flipping desktop machine. I mean, it wasn't a cute little elegant.
yeah.
That's, I noticed that is
That
2 display ports in the back of that.
Mhm.
You know, that might explain a lot though, when we looked up the model number. If they're recycling model numbers.
Well, if it's Dell, look it up by the Dell serial number that's on the top.
Yeah, you're right. We
Because
should.
that gives you that particular one, and it takes you to a page that says, these are the 8 important files that you need to update now. And I mean, I've got the service manual for it, I've got the user manual and the how to take it out of the box manual.
Nice. How much were these?
265. Yeah, they do fit nicely there, don't they?
What?
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 Um,
He's barely on camera, so you could barely prove
Oh,
he
what
did
you
it.
talking about?
so it runs on a 60-watt power supply. And like I said, most I saw was just over 45 watts. I've got a kilowatt at work. And that was after it had been running, not primes, but something for like 20 minutes. After 4 hours, the fan was spinning and I knew it was spinning, but it wasn't bad. And so what these 3 are going to be replacing is a box I built 6 or 7 years ago that was an early AMD Threadripper. I've never done any upgrades on it other than hard drives. And I generally have a good sense for how long hardware will last. And my youngest son is getting this one so he can play games on it. Because the Threadripper is definitely an upgrade from his little i7. But
What's in this one? i5?
i7 8500T. Hector, yeah,
Feels better than the ones I got up there.
it's pretty good. Yeah. And easy to work on. I mean, Dells are so easy to work on, servers and the desktops. I'm honestly kind of surprised that it has a screw. I think that's just because it
It's the size of it.
is. Would that not be the way I'm supposed to? All right, can you push? It can take a 2.5 inch SATA drive
Yeah,
that just pops out.
that's. That was kind of the thing with. That one that I worked on for him was. Just how much expansion was inside the stupid thing.
So I'll take out this itty bitty little wireless card
Yeah.
and the wire on the antenna and stuff. That's, honestly, that's about it. I'll put in the other card, pop out this little cover and put the NIC there.
He ended up with an actual server, and it was set up for, I think, 16 hard drives.
Oh, nice.
But-
Yeah,
But no hard drives, I mean, not even a boot drive. It was just,
there.
it was just, and of course, it was a Dell, so all they did was pull the caddies and throw the hard drives away. So we don't have the caddies, so we don't have to buy caddies if he ever wants to actually do something with this server.
You can buy caddies from AliExpress for about $3 a piece.
Yeah. Oh, it's just everybody who trashes that stuff throws the caddies away. Just get the stupid caddies, they come right off.
May want to talk with Ray. He has quite a few spares, like honey.
I'm not sure that he actually wants to do anything with the other machines. He wanted one for the garage.
Mhm.
So that he could stay in his man cave and watch YouTube and whatever while he was messing around in the garage. I'm not real sure. And what we found him was a better system than, it's even better than their their real computer. I was like, are you sure you want to put this in the garage? He's like, yeah, it's old. It'll be fine.
Yeah. It will heat the garage. If it's,
Oh, it's a decent sized machine, and I have a feeling they were using it for a workstation, but I have no idea why they had a 4 terabyte drive in.
why not? They're cheap. I mean, honestly, they're,
Do I?
Video editing, backup, storage.
Yeah, I could have been, they could have been doing some video work on. Who knows?
File share for all the users.
I have this strange feeling because that one also had missing caddies. I have a strange feeling that this hard drive was tucked up under the CD-ROMs, right? So I have a strange feeling that they didn't even see it.
There.
so.
And it wasn't-
3.5-inch drives?
No, it's the 3.5, yeah, the big one, yeah. And it was tucked up under I have a feeling they didn't even know it was there, and it was screwed in instead of caddied in. But the drive caddy where you could plug, I think, 3 other drives into it, were empty, and there were no caddies on
Probably data on it.
There wasn't, it
Right.
was completely empty.
I'll stock it. We could probably recover it.
Yeah,
So just,
it's too
if I
late
was a
now.
nosy person.
Well,
It is too late.
he thought the same thing. He wanted to see what was there, and I was like, well, there's nothing there.
There's a really nice,
And I'm not going to screw around long enough to try to
Apple
get
tool
that
that
stuff
would,
back, yeah.
scan the drive and recover all the files. We wouldn't be labeled, but they.
Well, I have a feeling that me, mainly, I set it up as the boot drive. I have a feeling it was set up as a storage drive.
Yeah.
But
Like I said, you still could recover a lot unless they really purged the shit out of it.
Yeah.
well, I doubt, I
I photo read. I have got lots of files back there.
like I said, he just wants something to sit out in the garage and play YouTube videos or whatever while he's in his man cave.
I smoked a borked Apple computer once, and then the guy melted down on me saying, well, my stuff was on that. So you didn't tell me there was anything to salvage off of it. Even though I formatted it and reinstalled Mac OS back on it, I still recovered like 3.5 gigs
Yeah.
of photos and movies.
And the problem with getting it back, if there's no organization to it, you gotta go look at every one of the damn
Huh.
files.
Yeah, I was just saying, so it wasn't my
We-
problem.
Well, yeah, I
But I mean,
realize that.
photographs, so you can see all the shots, so, you know, you don't have to have labels to figure out what the shots are, you just scroll through it, and it's like half of it was photos
I
from
think-
vacation.
I think
stuff
every,
like that.
I think every tech has done that at one point, cause I've had to recover drives that I messed up because nobody told me that the stuff that was there was important.
Yeah, he said he didn't tell me it was his, he just said it was broke, and he said, fix it, and I'm
Fix
like,
it.
all right.
I can fix
Well,
it.
the OS is borked to pieces, and like reformat, and reinstall, and it came right up.
I can fix
Then he was
stuff.
like, oh my God, that all my wedding pictures and crap on it. I'm like, well, you didn't say it was yours. You just said it was a client's.
Oh my gosh, it should have been go to iCloud because it's
Well, that's,
an Apple. You know that iPod pad that I got? It had a bunch, I can't get rid of these stupid pictures because I don't have the password to the iCloud. But it's got a bunch of stupid pictures on it that somehow are linked to the iCloud and I can't get rid of it. It doesn't look like they're taking up any room now. It's weird.
take a lot. Pictures are small,
It's weird. It's like,
mega pop or something.
but these are pictures of babies and stuff. I'm like, I don't. I'm-
You could probably get rid of them. You might have to go through some hoops to pop the
My,
format it.
yeah, I've Googled it a couple of times and I think you can, but there's a risk of
No.
erasing everything else that's there, and since iTunes doesn't really support that anymore, it's
Getting closer to the.
it's not something I'm really, I'd
Right.
much rather keep what's there and just put up with some of the stupid crap.
Yeah. So before we move on to Vicente's toys, what was the keyboard and mouse plugged into?
The Sun workstation.
What
So,
workstation?
The Sun 140 was one of the 2U big pizza boxes.
What are they doing with that?
We're still developing CAD software in these things.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and
How tiny
hybrids,
that thing is.
because we have in perpetuity contracts with Boeing and Ford and lots of big companies to maintain software. As long as they say, yeah, we still got this old Irish workstation. Okay. I have enough spare parts to keep Irix's working for at least another 10 years.
Yeah.
And honestly, they are built better than.
Well, yeah. I get it, I'm just really shocked that there's still anybody still using 20-year-old computers.
Oh,
35.
No, instead of USB. I would think that.
USB came out in 96,
Yeah, but when did they go into a Sun?
98,
Did they?
90, 97, 98, yeah.
and Windows 98 SE was the only one, the first Windows to actually support it well.
My Ultra Spark 10 didn't have USB on it, so. I don't know, they only went up to US Spark 60, I thought, for desktop.
I don't know. Yeah, the Irix machines, they've still got PS2,
Iris died way before the Suns did,
yeah.
like 10 years. Iris died right after Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really?
Cause they used flame for the fire effects,
Okay. Which Lord of the Rings?
the first one.
I don't think so. Because the first one was done in the 60s.
Well, no, the big, well, what's his face? His name is,
Steve Jackson,
the,
is that, yeah, some.
New Zealand.
yeah,
Okay. Because I remember watching Lord of the Rings in high school in two-ish. I was one of the AV kids, so I get to play around in the library a lot.
There was,
I have to laugh. Cause
We're not talking about the cartoon version, right?
no, I think there was a live action version in the late sixties. And then there was the cartoon
So I
and,
got the cartoons.
and then there was the big epic version,
Yeah, Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson's version.
They-
And now there's what, another
There are 11 versions.
version?
the first version I ever saw opened up in the pages.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
My grandmother, the only valuable present my grandmother ever gave me was a leather-bound set matched of The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, The Silmarillion, and Farmer Giles of Ham, all in leather.
Wow.
I have no idea where she got them. I mean, they had to have been at Goodwill or something along that line, because she didn't step foot in the thrift stores.
I come knocking on the door.
No, She- no, she wouldn't have bought
I don't know, just,
grandmother's. Fish.
I mean,
you never know.
I've got the Lord of the Rings trilogy in paperback, but it's, you know, the little newer model, the newer model paperbacks, not anything from the epic era. That you are holding is a M5 Nano
Power, right?
IBU, so-
power, yes.
Wait,
And,
right?
and program,
120.
it's a C6,
There's
yeah,
gotta
it's
Where I'm also,
I
programmed.
mean, they've got the cat card slot on the front.
M5 is selling those now,
Contacts for the
so I bought a few.
Next year, X or X1 or whatever it takes.
Wi-Fi,
40 pin
Zigbee,
drives.
Matter and Threads. But currently,
Like one of
it
the
doesn't
last
really
rack
support,
mountains, I think, wasn't it?
I don't
There's-
know.
there's no
I'm
way to
thinking back
program
High school.
any of the,
In my
extra
computer
features right now.
interaction was with an IBM.
I support,
1601.
C6. Still,
there is support for the C6,
Computers that we had
but-
at my high school
it is
were
very limited, it's
Rainbow
really
and
early. It's
We
$5,
had Tandy
$5 for
1000
that.
and Commodore
Huh?
64.
Wow,
what
nice.
$5,
The Commodores would have been fun.
$5 for that.
Well, they both played,
what is this?
drop
Oh,
depth.
This call?
Okay, so there's an IR,
So I take it. you
Sender?
had the George.
Yeah, and what- transmitter.
machine?
I hate
And
They had a-
the G,
uh,
19.
is power,
teletype
what is
hooked up
this?
to a
Um,
computer
that is
my
for the
dad
LED.
bought. They had
For
to put
the-
all of
for
this
the
stuff
RGB.
together, but he gave it to me later on.
I'm not real sure
It
why
was
they
a
tied the
full
RGB
teletype
LED
paper
into
punch on the side. And
where it
this
needs
is
the power,
big cast
where you need
iron
to turn the power on.
Thing. The computer was a North Star General. It was sold by North Star Systems, which was on 747, just north of Tri-County Mall. And they assembled that thing. It was a Z80 processor, an S100 bus with a serial card and MFM hard drive interface. I think it was I think 12 megabyte MFM hard drive. And you power that thing on. And then it's been at that pitch for a long time. It was a great machine. There was a story there. My dad bought that thing and he played with it for a while and realized that it wasn't powerful enough to do the things he wanted to do, like take over the world. And he got another one and I'm like, Dad, can I have it? And there was a game I used to play on it and he broke the game. And he handed me a basic manual and a printout of the game. And so when you can find what I wrote, you can have it. So I go over this and like, and Ren, the name of the game is Kingdom. I look through the manual, remark, everything after this doesn't count. Mark those all out. And I went through the thing, and after like 2 months, I found all 4 problems. No, there were only 3, and no, there's 4. And we went over and he's like, you're right. And he gave it to me. And I picked up an old deck. Oh, shoot, what was it? One of a smaller printer keyboard thing. Decorator? That doesn't sound right. But anyway, it was 110 baud keyboard and printer. But it was an upgrade from that teletype. And I wrote some software for Baker Hardware, which is out between Millville and Morgan. What's that next little town? It had Morgan Elementary School in it. Anyway, they used that ancient old computer and kept their inventory on floppy disks for at least 15 years. It was tied into the cash register and kept track of how much was in the till. It was pretty cool. They paid me $1,400 for that ancient computer and that old decorator. That must have been a decorator. But I was happy as a plan. I went out, got an actual computer. But yeah, that was a real computer. It was a walnut box, 19 by 19 by about 10 inches with 2 floppy drives in the front and a hard drive inside. You could back up the hard drive with 24 floppies.
Ready for this?
Good.
This is that Nano C6, ESP32 C6. And this is what I was trying to show you guys a couple of weeks ago when we were virtual and nobody could hear it. And it's not working. There it goes.
Oh, nice.
This is a synthesizer. It's got, I think, 127 different voices.
Oh, wow.
And
So you can feed that just raw MIDI and it'll probably pick up 90%.
I was trying to do that and I couldn't get it to do anything, but yes, I think you could just send it raw MIDI. It's a serial device.
Mhm.
And MIDI is serial. I mean, it should just work, but
So newer MIDI is different than old MIDI, and that's probably old MIDI.
I don't know if it's this seems like it probably is older because it seems like the voices that it has are the same voices that like those old keyboards
Mhm.
had that had the 120 some odd.
Yeah.
But when I was Googling how to do some of this stuff, it seemed like the two were fairly compatible with each other. And except for some of the voices being different, it seemed like a MIDI file should just work. But
Yeah. So old MIDI had attack, decay, envelope length, frequency changes during the envelope. There were about 48 bytes per note And current MIDI is more like 6 bytes per minute.
This is, must be closer to current maybe then, because this doesn't have all the attack and the stuff. It's interesting. It does have like a pitch thing, so you can change the pitch while it's playing and some other stuff, but some of the instruments have the attack and the decay
Right.
set differently, but I don't think I saw a way just to change that.
Does it have memory on board where you can load voices?
No,
Okay.
no.
So MIDI was
That was not.
MIDI.
What I tried to do, which may or may not be the right thing to do, was I wrote a sketch that just did a pass through USB, passing it through over to serial to that thing. And then I just sent a MIDI file down the serial thing, and it didn't work. I was,
I have some old MIDI stuff.
I need this.
You want
that was expensive.
How much?
That was more expensive
Okay.
than stupid thing. No, it was $4.50. $4.50.
Okay, what's he trying to confiscate? Just a cup. Oh, one of the,
Magnetic.
Magnetic.
oh. Yeah, I love those things.
I have with with power, but this is what we got.
I have those on everything I've got.
This one has the data lines on it too.
Yeah.
So,
Mine just gets power, it's like
I've
$9.
got 3 of them out in the car with USB-C and micro USB. No, you're good. You may appreciate this.
how much did you pay for yours?
3 cables, each with 2 or 3 ends, are $6 a piece.
Okay,
$18 for 3. Delivered.
those were $4.50,
That's cheap.
and
What, how many ends does that have?
just the one.
This sounds the illustration.
It's got 6 strain gauges on it. They're 45 degrees off around the shaft. And then there's this one, which moves more. That one has 2 mouse buttons.
I figured I was paying a little bit for the branding, the M5 branding. But
These are,
I thought that was a good deal because it had the data.
well, these do too. These are net dot or net dot Gen 10 cable. Those are very good.
So those round displays that I've got. Oh, yeah.
They're smaller, which I like. The round ones are kind of cool because they'll
I have
twist.
this.
They're fighting
Yeah,
each
but
other.
in the back, I forgot I have a couple in my
They're fighting each
new
other.
stock box that I never opened.
Yeah, see, that one's got like a completely flat end, and yours has more like a
Yeah, it has actual pins in there.
connector.
But it's USB 2.0. I mean, it's not going fast.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
each end of our couch has the cable. And she's got her iPad with one and an iPhone, and I've got an iPhone and an Android phone.
I think
And
perfect
one
for
cable
Arduino
works with
project.
everything.
That round display that I
Mhm.
bought, I stuck it in, I printed I printed like a little triangle case.
Mhm.
And the USB connector sits down at the bottom, which it's hard to get to it, so I bought some 90-degree cables.
Yeah.
And even the 90-degree cables are a little bit too big for it, so I thought, well, that might actually be perfect. I could just snap it in there when I need to and unsnap it when I don't. And that's actually why I bought those.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I want to do is make a dashboard holder for my phone that I can set it in and then scoot it over a little bit and, because like these magnets are strong.
Yeah,
Don't see anything steel, but
Yeah, the-
it'll hold my iPhone up. It won't hold down. I'm not sure.
almost got my glasses. I could. Almost.
Here's steel.
But that's why I bought those cables. It's not for these projects, but for the round display project. It just so happens that this happens to be in
Yeah.
the box. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow. But this is the Nano
insane.
C6. It's Wi-Fi 6.
Mhm.
It's got it's one of the RISC processors, so it's only a single core.
Okay.
ESP32. It's got Zig.
Oh, I thought that was just a Wi-Fi adapter. There's a processor.
No,
That's what was driving the,
Okay.
that's what was driving the,
it's not, but a development board. Connectors,
it's got Wi-Fi 6,
Wi-Fi.
it's got Zigbee, it's got Matter, and it's got Threads.
Communication.
Do what? IoT,
Right.
IoT stuff.
Correct, also.
Infrared. It doesn't really have any IO, so to speak. It's only got the two IO pins, but for $6, it's
This does Zigbee? So
It's
this would be able to control my hue lights.
it's officially not supported yet. It's in beta testing or alpha testing right now. It's not supported through the Arduino IDE right yet.
Okay.
Yet. My understanding is that is one of the high priorities to get it to actually working. But there's a half a dozen different companies selling these C6s now,
Mhm.
and they're all cheap. I mean, they're under the $6
I
or
don't have a
less.
problem, but with these boards.
Yeah, I've got a couple of the bigger boards. They have more IO on them too.
I'm too cheap to buy an actual Zigbee card.
Well, so am I. That's why I was like, huh, Zigbee. Oh, and it supports Matter and Threads. Okay. But not yet.
I'm wondering how hard that would be to tie into Home Assistant. Because I want to be able to directly control some hue lights. I hate that hue on thing.
Well, I mean, that's what these were
Built for.
built for.
Yeah.
What I'm doing here, it really doesn't show the possibility of what a C6 should be or could be.
There's your next project. Tie that into a couple of hue lights. So they do color organ along with the music.
That would be cool.
I
I
could
don't,
make MIDI controlled lights.
yeah. I don't have any stuff that specifically Zigbee, but I wanted to send messages over Zigbee because supposedly you could get some decent range off of it.
150 feet, I mean, not huge, anywhere in the house,
Yeah.
but
But if I make like a moving message board or something,
Mhm.
like I used to have, I could set two of these up because these are cheap. Just have one send a message, bring me a Pepsi. Hey woman, bring me a Pepsi.
Does she have control for input also? Cause I can tell what the response is gonna be.
no,
And it's not anatomically possible.
Yeah, well,
other stupid stuff, I forgot I got this.
more stupid stuff. I got more stupid stuff too.
This is a
PS2 interface?
sort of PS2 with extra power. It's got a 9-volt input. The other end is serial DB9, though they sold it with a PS2 to PS2, well, PS2 on one end and that on the other. I
It's
have
definitely cool. That's just cool.
I have been bemoaning that I don't have
Price.
a proper display on my little NAS. So I picked this up just because it was cheap and I wanted to try it. It's got a micro USB on one side and 4-pin USB, and it came with a 4-pin USB to the weird 9-pin PC USB. So I can plug it in directly. LCD Proc talks to this.
Oh, okay.
And it's forget that it's like 800 by 600. It's pretty high resolution. If you power it up.
Those.
No, it isn't. It's just a display, but it was $5. And it came without one of the little nut things. Oh, well. I was gonna take the plastic off. Yeah, it wasn't in the box. In the box with the thing that stepped up.
Of course.
I was like, oh man, and I plugged it in and it worked, so okay, I'm happy.
You get that from AliExpress.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use that as your display and just display whatever you want.
Yeah, I used LCD Proc for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it. It seems to be falling out of favor and I don't know why. But I was trying to make this little guy work, and tying this into a computer is difficult. It's SPI and all of that stuff, so I needed USB to SPI.
Color?
Honestly, I don't know. I never did it to turn on.
Okay.
It is OLED, yeah.
When you get a chance, can you send me a link to that?
Is it? Okay. Okay, how do you know?
Oh, that's,
I have some.
Okay.
I have several.
Okay.
The shape and things.
a monochrome, an SPI OLED.
I got it at Micro Center.
So you,
Pretty cheap.
well, all you need is like a little microcontroller to hook up to it.
Well, I was gonna use that.
Oh, yeah,
Never got around to it. It's a
that's a DigiSpark. Yeah.
It's not, it's somebody else's. But yeah, it does the same thing. That one I've got set up as a mouse jiggler.
I could. I had a bunch of these and they were all working great and suddenly they just stopped working. And I'm like, I don't understand why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing there, Mr. DigiSpark.
It's great as a mouse jiggler.
Say 2 tiny 85?
Yeah, I wanna say yes, but
It's the same thing as a Leonardo. Something 04.
32 U4,
Yes,
so. I think mine were AT Tiny. AT Tiny 85.
I'm 85. 85.
okay. I don't know. I know it easily emulates a keyboard or a mouse. And I think the first thing I ever wrote in Arduino is on that. And it was a mouse jiggler. Every 60 seconds, it flashes the LED twice. Waits a second and then wiggles the mouse like 6 pixels left, 12 pixels right, 6 pixels left. And that's it.
Just enough to keep your computer happy.
Well, I did that because when I was at Reisenfeld, people would bring me a machine and I didn't have time to get to it right now. So I had like 8 of these things. I got these for under $1.
Yeah, they were cheap.
And they'd come in and set it down and I'd plug that in and tell them type in your password and it just stayed right there. I didn't have to worry about it locking. Because we had our lock policy was like 10 minutes. And I couldn't get from machine to machine in 10 minutes.
Our, I think when I first started messing with those, I had to set UDIV rules up for it or something, and I don't know what happened, but I can't program them lately, so.
Well, I've got a system that's got Arduino from
Yeah,
2008 or so.
I've
that
got-
I've never pushed any updates on.
I've got a system like that, so. But I have moved to ESP32s now.
Yeah,
I mean, I have moved so far away.
Start also.
M5 stack, this one is the. This one is the pain in the butt M5 stack.
Is it a joystick or a button?
It's,
No.
it's an S, it's
No,
an
it's,
S2.
decoder,
Oh, yeah, encoder, yeah.
encoder.
It's got,
Right, this is for the.
it's meant to go into like panel displays. So you've got your industrial connector for power.
This for them and.
Yeah.
Say that again, Leroy, it was meant to go into what?
Like a panel display.
to be a industrial panel display.
Okay. I just didn't hear it.
And that's supposed to loop around it so that you can mount it inside of that display.
And then put screws in it.
And how much is this? What's the name of this thing?
That is the M5 10 meter, and it was $24. It was, I'm not real sure that it. I'm not real sure that it was worth $25. I get it if you're doing
It comes
industrial
with the-
stuff,
with the-
that's cheap. But
It comes with this,
Mhm.
controller. And what is this?
S2,
S2,
S2. Might be an S3,
don't like the S2.
might be an S3. It's probably an S3.
S3?
I don't like the S2 either.
Let me take a picture
Oh, okay.
to see. Macro picture.
It's got a little demo on it that overall we probably can't see.
So you can use it as an industrial display, but what can it display? Does it have any sort of capacity to measure voltage or current or?
Well, it's got the two grow ports there, which
Okay.
means there's some expandability, so if you get one of their other modules, the voltage module or whatever, you could
Okay.
do that. It's got a buzzer built into it. It's got some other stuff built into it, but nothing that screams industry.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't use that with gloves on hardly.
I mean, even its brightness. I mean, I don't really know why you would want to set the brightness so
Yeah.
Dark green.
maybe a dark room. It's got a real-time clock, which may or may not have
The real time.
the real time or use in a industrial
So that has a processor in it, though, right?
ESP32.
So you could, does it have wireless? Can you connect to an NTP server?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I could set the clock. This is the demo that it came with. And
Could be a part channel.
This is a game,
it comes with a game.
Great.
Space Invaders, no, this is
It comes with,
Um,
yeah, now, tell me, how many people will be sitting in their office going, oh, I should write numbers down, but I'm playing a game.
Yeah.
Nobody
I don't have
on
one of
there.
those, and that's what I do.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool, but as an industrial dealy bob, I'm not so sure. I think it's a little bit small. I think an industrial display should be a little bit bigger, so it's easier to read.
It's useful when you have a lot of variables and you can have all of them simultaneously on.
That's a half view display. So. Industrial stuff is 1U by 2, and that's half by 1.
It'd be nice for keeping track of a whole bunch of machines, or a bunch of different lines or something in a control console.
Maybe a menu for a 3D printer.
Maybe a menu for a 3D printer. Yeah, I'm actually still trying to figure out a use case for this.
I mean, breakout.
Yeah. They came out with the C6s and I was like, that's not quite enough money to justify the shipping costs, so I threw that in to justify the shipping cost, and I'm still trying to figure out why I actually need that. But that's new too. I mean, they just came out with it like a couple weeks ago, so.
Your portable missile.
I'm thinking that if you had a microprocessor control accessory for a power tool, where you could get right to it and adjust, and I'm going to do N1, N2, N3, and when I'm getting to the right place, it's there in front of me at the table. But from an industrial standpoint, I can't see that across the board with us.
So we worked with industrial controls at a company I was at. And the best thing that any of them had was that you could flash the backlight for the LCD red. Because they were all monochrome.
Yeah.
With a kind of that weird light blue backlight. But you could turn that off and turn on a red backlight, which got your attention. And then you can go over and look at it. You can do that with that pretty easily. If some parameter is out of bounds.
Start flashing red.
Yeah, and beep.
The human interface devices that I first came across in the industrial environment were absolutely worthless.
Oh, yeah.
They had a large display and they were running a computer in the backup.
Mhm.
And you couldn't tell which you're running, whether you're looking at primary or secondary. until you got over there, they had one pixel that would be illuminated if it was the backup. What the hell was that?
This is in a plastic case. All the industrial stuff I've seen has always been metal.
Not the panel insert stuff.
Really?
Yeah, usually that's,
Now, I don't hang out in a bunch of industrial areas. I was on board a submarine and
Okay, that's
that
a-
was as close to,
a submarine is not industrial, that's military, that's a whole different ballpark.
it was all metal.
Yeah.
Everything was metal.
Also, the submarine kind of needed to be heavy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. And control there.
but
Well,
I-
it's the sink, right?
I can see. I could see maybe some use for this somewhere, but I'm struggling for myself.
It's a neat device looking for a home.
I'm struggling for myself to figure out what to do with it. I was thinking, maybe that robot replacing the old ESP 32. Yeah. Cause it's DIN compatible, you can connect it to the DIN rails easier, so. But. I'm struggling, I really am, I don't know what to do with this thing. It's neat, it's a neat device.
Something to clear the outside thermostat and snap it onto the side of the house.
Well, this doesn't have anything directly to do with that. This is kind of an aside. As you probably know, I was asked to join the Army a long time ago. And one of the things that I was doing at Fort Hood was putting a sunscreen on a Starlight scope, 6 power, and zeroing it during the day. And then at night, we go out, take the filter off, and there are 3 targets that are going to pop up, and they give us 6 rounds to hit those 3 targets. Well, with the 6 power scope, they appear this big.
Yeah.
You couldn't miss them. So ready on left, ready on right, ready in center, misfiring, bam, bam, bam. I've got 3 rounds, and that's how far I got in the thought process. And what the hell am I going to do with these other 3 rounds? When somebody discovered, oh, there's a target up down range. So a tracer round goes across it from my vision scope. And it's like holding a road flare in front of my face. And I start to think, oh, I know. And the rest of the thought would be, I know what I could do with these other 3 rounds. And the Starlight scope goes with 100 friggin' tracer rounds across in front of it. Oh. I'm sorry. It was,
We had. When I was in, we had one of the early Nifties. Don't know if you know what a Nifty is.
Yeah.
Nifty. It was very, very pixelated. Everything was a pixel and it was grayscale. But it was infrared, it was an infrared scope. And in fire or whatever, you could point it, sweep the room and you could find heat sources. Specifically, you were looking for bodies laying in the fire.
Yeah.
Or knocked out from the smoke or whatever. And we had something very similar to that. Those things were extremely sensitive to any kind of light. I mean, the early models. So we were in a pitch black with minimum lighting going on. And the fire drill had just been secured and the guy had forgot to turn the Nifty off. And all the lights come up And he said, destroyed the Nifty.
Oh,
Destroyed it, absolutely destroyed that Nifty because they were not
Not
able to
intended.
handle any kind of light other than very minimal.
Well, I think
Question.
most everybody
Language,
is
if
aware of
anybody's
how
interested.
fast they think. And there in the firing range, I didn't really have a whole lot to think about, so I'm focusing on the simple task of what am I gonna do? And it was amazing how fast the other people were ahead of me. I mean, I didn't even get the thought completed before.
They already figured out your thought. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and not only did they do it, but they executed it. So
That long range target stood no chance.
when I was in Fort Dix, New Jersey. We were, this was basic training, and we were out in the field, live fire, target practice. And we had been out for probably 15 minutes, and all of a sudden, like, here's our target range. Back here, in the hill, this deer stands up, like, it's time for me to move. And everybody stopped. And the deer got about 10 feet, and everybody, there was nothing left of that. deer.
Okay, Mr. Vicente, what do you got going on? You don't know?
pick something.
Green version of Knight Rider.
Nice stuff.
It actually.
Simon. No, this is a board that is the same shape that the Arduino Nano,
Mhm,
but has a different microcontroller.
okay,
It's the same ATM 338, but it's PB, that means low power. It has, instead of one serial port, two serial ports, two I2C ports, 5 timers instead of 3, like they're doing. And these people in China developed this board, but they put in the board their own bootloader. So you need to load the Arduino their board
Their-
manager or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was using this microcontroller with another board manager. It's a huge maintaining and very good. It's a mini core for Arduino.
okay,
So I burned the new bootloader, the board, the other, the mini core. I was trying to make my own. It's perfect.
nice,
This board, you can use the crystal, you can remove the crystal and put a 32 kilohertz real-time thing. And it works like a real-time clock. Instead of using the external crystal from the CPU, use the external crystal for the RTC internal.
Mhm.
And it has an internal oscillator. You can choose from 2, 4, 8, and 16 and 20 megahertz internal.
okay.
I don't know why this microcontroller is so.
Is it USB-C or micro USB?
Micro USB. So this is from 1990.
Okay,
It's, yeah,
Actually, I was looking for it now and it wasn't existing in AliExpress. Didn't have it. But this is the microcontroller I was using in the rural computer.
Mhm.
So sometimes I need to try a routine or something. For example, yesterday I did this upgrade with the new core because I was trying to
emulate the cassette interface of the computer, but I don't want to use the ruler. Just to make it like in a different environment.
Yeah.
And make it work, and then I put it in the inside the ruler. And it was perfect, but I was intersecting with the simulator, read each instruction of the 6502 and process it and produce results and change the accumulator or encounter, whatever, everything is emulated inside. When I try to intercept the instruction that calls the cassette dump or load, I made the tones work perfectly, but the tones are called in this load system, and there are so much time between calls that the tones are separated by spaces of silence, you know. So instead of, I was emulating only ones and zeros with tones,
Yeah,
but now I need to emulate the full byte completely to avoid these gaps in the process.
okay,
So instead of intercept two subroutines in this 6502 code, I will intercept the routine that calls them. You know, the send a byte, use send a 1 and send a 0 to produce the byte. So each time that the routine runs and come to look for 1 or 0, between 1 and 0, you go back to a slow simulation. So the tones appear like separated in real time. So I need to go and replace the routine that calls the tones and produce all the byte completely
right.
on the tone. It's a matter of time.
Has it got a frequency generator in it?
But this is so I am using the same technique that the 6502 that use a timer in the board, the whole board, and reset the timer and count microseconds and change the value of the pin.
Right.
Okay. So I am doing the same thing with another timer of, I have 5 timers here. So I'm using a timer in the same fashion, just loading a number and pulling the counter until it reach 136 or something in microseconds. And then I flip the beat, to produce the tone.
Right.
The problem is when I go back to the main program, I go back to slow motion thing that is interpreting every instruction in executing, and it's like 16 times slower than the real thing, you know. So I practically need to move all the dump operation to a function made in the Arduino environment, high speed.
Yeah.
And then return to the code in the 6502. To continue in the monitor program. This is to keep the simulation in a way that you can use any standard interface for those boards and connect to the ruler, you know. Is the interface use 566 something like that, and DLL to identify the tones
Oh, yeah.
of the cassette.
568.
And this is the and produce the demodulated tones
Mhm.
in a pin in my board to read the data from the cassette. But now I am working in the same thing, just to send the tones. And then to read the tones. It can be slower because the PLL change 9 pulses in a single level, So I have more time to analyze the signal that is coming in. You create your own limitation when you design. No, I want to do it this way because you can throw everything and just make everything in your environment, the room. But I want to respect the old code of
Right.
the 6502 instructions as most possible.
Fun.
So
So at one point, I had a Commodore teacher's pet. It's a little keyboard about this big, it was absolutely useless, but
Yeah.
the big tape recorder on the
Yeah.
side. I love that thing.
yeah,
Each
I
key would
used to
produce
have it.
3 different characters.
I spend hours doing something and then cassette
Yeah,
save and cassette done. It worked, but
it,
pages and pages of notebooks
yeah.
with instructions. Translating them to S code and then typing all the codes. Checking, sometimes you try to run and the program destroys itself because it's in RAM. You need to go back and typing everything in.
I thought it was 4-channel QAM or quadrature encoding of some sort. I thought it was sending 2 bits with each tone change. Because it was not just the tones, but the relationship of the tones to each other. And at one point in time, I knew exactly how that worked. And that's not wrong. But it was offloaded to another chip. The processor didn't directly deal with that. It just sent the data to a buffer. And the buffer then came up with the tones and stuff. And I'm trying to remember what that chip was.
Which computer was that?
Commodore PET, and Teacher's PET specifically.
And have like a processor or something like.
It wasn't really.
It was
code
It
processor.
wasn't a code
It was
processor.
and it wasn't an ASIC or anything.
How the chip that managed
Yeah,
all
ALU.
the stuff.
No, it wasn't.
Sound and cassette. And load and.
What? Wasn't there one that just simply used like 110 baud? And
Well-
pipe and saved it through the audio to the cassette deck?
Yes, but. So baud doesn't mean it's per second.
No,
It was. It's what I think was 120 baud, but it was 480 bytes per second
okay,
because of each tone shift sent to, or I guess 240.
Well, at the beginning of this, the first computers, there was a meeting in Kansas City, and they created a standard to interface computer boards with the cassettes. Okay, the guy from Microsoft was there also.
Gates.
Gates, yeah, and they signed an agreement to follow these rules. 300 bouts communication. Well, in a couple of months, everyone changed their protocol to make it faster, better, and the standard was like,
Gone.
yeah, so some companies keep them, but no one's use it because the technique for so quickly that 300 bits per second was that slow motions.
I'm reminded of when you were saying inputting, all of the instructions manually on a piece of paper. That, I don't know whether it was, Apple or Microsoft people getting off the plane trying to input stuff on the way to the demo because they didn't have a recording device that was capable of.
The page reader or the punch, the paper, the punch tape reader.
Yeah, paper tape or
Well, I remember lying on the floor with all the papers, the anomalies, and following the drum and go back with different lines and colors to understand how the jumps are in the code,
I'm so lucky I missed all that.
Well, you don't know how lucky that was.
paper cards were just miserable to deal with.
I learned Fortran, my first, the programming was Fortran, and you have to design with a punch cards in a huge machine. You organize your program and you introduce the program in a window that is a service.
Take your deck.
And tomorrow you will have your stack of cards back with a roll of paper around with the
Rubber
result
band.
of your things.
If it compiles,
There's something
if it
else.
doesn't
Yeah,
compile
yes.
because you
Okay.
made a typo on the third
Yeah.
card.
A lot of times, the next day, what? Oh, a typo, just a character.
Yes.
Oh,
And the closer it came to the end of the term, the longer the turnaround time. So if you screwed it up by one character, you didn't get it back in 15 minutes. You might get it back in
no, no.
15 hours.
Yeah.
And if you screw it up,
There's a few.
yeah, and here's the other thing you may have remembered. It would go through until it found the first mistake and stop. So if you had two mistakes,
You will find a second.
you wouldn't find the second one until you ran the thing
That happens
again.
a lot.
Yes,
And sometimes you made a mistake and you start printing continuously.
Yeah.
And there's like a mountain of paper and then what?
I've told this before.
One character in space, or something like that.
The closest I ever got to cards or paper tape or any of that is my across the street neighbor. He had a VIC-20 hooked up to a teletype machine. And he would print programs out to the tape things, and it would punch holes in the thing and he could load them back in. That was the closest I ever got to that. And it's like, that just seems like a wacky way to do
The way
it.
it's used.
But it made sense.
Yeah. So you could get, paper tape was easy. You could also get your paper tape converted to Mylar tape. And Mylar tape is tough.
Yeah.
It was used in industrial environments because they just wrap it into a loop and tape the ends together.
Yeah.
And
That's
you could
what I
run
remember.
something for 10 years on one piece of Mylar.
No, that's the closest I ever got to that. And he never, I mean, the VIC-20, you type your programs in. So when he was done with his program, he would print it and have it punch the tape. So he would have a copy of what he typed in. That was his method of backing up his program. I'm like, that's crazy, but whatever.
The best part of the teletype I had was it came with 2 boxes of punch tape that were dirty pictures. In ASCII, you were 25 feet back.
Oh, ASCII art. I miss you, ASCII art. So I looked, there is a, it's called envelope now. It's
Mhm.
for attack, decay, and something else.
Mhm.
I thought you were referring to maybe 3 separate settings, but it's all one setting now.
Sort of. The envelope is defined by at least 6 bytes and maybe more.
Looks like. Envelope is, where did it go? Channel and 3 separate. So yeah, probably 6 bytes.
And
But there's no demo code demoing how the envelope works, so I
Oh.
guess I get to play with that now to see.
yeah, just put in numbers, have it echo the number out on the serial port so you can see what makes a longer sound and a shorter sound.
So if I am thinking about this right, well, maybe not. I want a sawtooth and I want to do like Commodore 64 sounds. Anyway, their demos are, you turn a note on, you turn a note off, you turn a note on.
Look for old Amiga MIDI files. I'll bet those will play.
Okay,
That was the best thing about the Amiga. It was a good MIDI
yeah,
thing.
this really does seem like, at least I'm cursory looking and reading about it, it really does seem like they took a keyboard, took the keyboard off, and just left you with the MIDI part.
Yeah, I mean, MIDI's pretty well defined.
Yeah.
My interest in it, I was a roadie with the Beach Boys for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
I'm into
was,
it.
I was quite, where I actually was able to make the music,
Mhm.
was not any example that M5 did. It was, I went and I looked at how notes work in MIDI.
Mhm.
And I went, oh, so we're not talking about a frequency, we're just talking about a sound. You're turning the sound on, you're turning the sound off. Okay, this makes perfect sense. And I took an old example for a piezo buzzer and modified the actual notes to what the sound should be, and I just turned sounds on and off. So, okay. Now now MIDI makes sense, but it was a MIDI tutorial. It wasn't M5 stack
Yeah,
anything. It was, what the heck does this do? Kind of deal. And even like you said, it's all well defined because the MIDI tutorial listed exactly the same instruments except for 2 or 3 that were a little bit different.
Mhm.
So
Someone make interface from Amiga keyboard for this.
well, yeah, because I'm thinking yes, because it's just a serial device. And it's not even a 2-way serial device.
Translator or something.
It just wants it just needs an input. It just needs. And it uses the same baud rate MIDI uses, or yes.
It's polyphonic, means that you can have multiple frequencies running
This I think this supports up to 16 channels.
system.
Once upon a time, it was a $2,000 keyboard.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's
What
a
about the red?
$12, $13.
Circuit board
It's better the
Boy.
red and the black.
without the keys.
Without keys. It actually took me, because I don't know MIDI.
You are telling
This is the first I've ever really messed with MIDI. So it took me a while to figure out how to make this stupid thing actually do something. Cause their example is, here's how you play a drum. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. It tells me how to play a drum.
They have chip buyers. They got those chips cheap. Let's see what we can do.
I actually
Try to put it all
like
in
it,
one
but
package
it's not at all what I really thought I
and
was.
see if people buy it.
So
There's,
I spent 3 months with a Nokia, like a 3210 or something bar phone that didn't play audio, it just did MIDI. And I wanted the X-Files theme as my ringtone. And I found it, installed it, and it sounded awful. It just wasn't right. And I spent months hand editing that file and putting it back, listening. No, that wasn't right. No, that wasn't right.
all the MIDI files I find now are all binaries. You can't really go in and edit them.
Oh, no, I was using Hexedit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can edit anything.
You can
Yeah.
edit anything.
Even if it's encrypted. This might come out worse.
It does seem like, I mean, it seems like it supports a full set of MIDI. There might be like a small subset, but it supports probably 98% of it. At least from what I've been
Yeah.
able to piece together. It's like, yeah, this thing it's a keyboard without the keyboard. But yeah, I thought I would update because it's like, why doesn't it support that? Because it should. Those are generally sounds you need to be able to control. Why wouldn't it support that? So it does, but there's no example for it. Joy, joy, happy, happy. But
We do.
So
my,
frequencies.
yeah, mine little demo basically, like I said, I took some really old code and changed it into the on and off times and told it which instrument to turn on and turn off, and so I pieced it together, but I pieced it together from a tutorial for a keyboard, not a tutorial for this thing.
Yes, that's how people solve problems.
Well, there's gotta be a way to make it work, right? But even the baud rate on this seems like it's a standard ordinary MIDI baud rate. 30,000 or something.
32768.
It's an oddball.
Okay. Because the MIDI I was playing with was slower. It was 19 too. But I mean, yeah, that's
It's
just standard
30
a long time ago.
it's 30,000 something, and it's it might be like USB MIDI or something.
Hmm.
It seemed like it was a standard baud rate though.
Yeah.
But and it really only uses it, the one pin isn't even connected. It's really only using the input side of things.
Really?
Yeah.
That's curious because one of the features of MIDI is that the instrument sends an output that it has completed the instruction so that it gets back
So
for the next one.
like I said, it seems like it's a subset of.
Yeah.
It's not quite, it's like 98% there.
One of the coolest MIDI displays I ever saw, and this was when I was a kid. I don't know where it went, but it was the Mighty Wurlitzer at Springdale Music Palace.
Yeah. That
That
thing
was-
was awesome.
Yeah. It was, so the Mighty Wurlitzer was a 3-rank piano. It had 3 keyboards on it. And one guy comes up out of the floor on this spinning piano, and all around there's this gallery with drums and trombones and all sorts of instruments that were
Strings.
all controlled by his keyboards. And he got into it. He was good. I don't know whatever happened to that fellow. Later on, they moved the piano, and it ended up on across the street from Sharonville Convention Center. And it's not there anymore. I don't know where it is. I don't know how much I'd pay to go see it. And Springdale Music Palace was a pizza place. You'd go in, you'd order your pizza, and this guy would start playing music, and it was neat. Later became Hooters.
Awesome.
For 275.
That place was awesome. We used to go there when I was a kid.
Yeah, they had a really good deep pan pizza.
There is, I'll have to look it up. There is a weird MIDI thing that happened in like the early 2000s, and it's a little desktop MIDI device.
Mhm.
And it's got band that one guy's the trumpet player, one guy's the guitarist, one guy's the bassist, one guy's the keyboardist. And you connect them all to this device with like telephone cable. And you spread them out and you set them around, and they all have individual speakers in. And they all play the individual parts, and you just send a MIDI file to this device, and it splits it out, and each one of them. And then they've got like if there's vocals or something, they've got add-ons, so you could buy like the vocal person, and you plug it into the vocal section, and the vocalist will sing while the band is playing. It's ridiculously expensive. It's like over $1,000 for this thing, but it is the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life. And if I just had money to burn, I'd probably have 2 or 3 of them up on a shelf going. And they're all animated. They all move. They all, when a hi-hat hits or whatever, the guy, the cymbal guy or the drum guy goes over and hits the hi-hat like he's supposed to. Or at least looks like he's hitting the hi-hat.
That's cool.
So it's all synchronized, and it's all timed with whatever the MIDI file is. And they say you can load any MIDI file. It doesn't have to be particular, but if you get it particular for this device, everything syncs up. If you just load any MIDI file in, the device chooses what it thinks is best. It makes its best guess about, okay, that might be a horn, so I'm going to make the horn guy play. And sometimes it's wrong, so you get weird things.
AI will take care of that.
The facial recognition program I have for my photographs does a pretty good job. But I can tell you, my mother was never a large black man.
So you all have met Patty, and most of you have seen Thea, right? Those two, they're definitely related. They look alike. My other granddaughter is a little tiny bit older than Thea, and she looks like it. So Google almost always will put all 3 of them. This is Thea Rose. This is Thea Rose. And I'm going, that's Lulu. That's Patty. That's not even close. That's not even close to a kid. But the AI, the software goes, oh yeah, that's close enough.
Well, most of the time, it does a pretty good job, even over decades of change.
Yeah.
It will recognize from a small child all way through an adult.
See, I think that that's what Google's problem is because all three of them are definitely related. And they all, especially when they were younger, they all looked alike.
So I'm sure I told you, when my mom passed away, she left a box of 1,600 photographic negatives. And everybody's cousins looked alike in a black and white gray negative. Hold it up and say,
Yeah. I can't fault Google for picking the three people that look alike in real life as looking alike in the virtual world. But it's so obvious to me.
you know, there's only been 1 billion years of evolution that focusing on your brain. You know, Google hasn't had that much time.
No, I think it's gotten worse because it started grouping old pictures, but it had classified differently before into the Thea Rose folder, and I'm like, why did you do that?
They're gonna do what Microsoft's doing and make the responses an AI interface.
Yeah.
Searches are gonna be horrible.
Yeah.
Bing is just trash. Oh my God.
I've never been too thrilled with Bing results.
I never have been either, but it's a whole lot worse when it's saying, let's look up this, how to do this, instead of giving you pages. It's like, let's interface with an AI on your search.
They'll
That-
just give you the one result that we think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know they'd done it until I was like, I don't know when it went live. Been in the last week. But like Wednesday, it's like I did a search real quick, and Bing was up because I needed a different browser for some reason, and it brought up the, what's it called now, Gemini response to my search, and I was like, what? This crap.
I opted out of Google's. Google wanted the AI search, and I said, nope.
Honestly, I got a notice this morning when I logged in at work saying they wanted that they were moving that direction. That your searches are gonna be AI interfaced.
I mean, yeah, they've been dealing with a large set for a long time. It's already pretty AI. I don't mind if they want to use something to narrow things better.
Yeah.
But if they start omitting 20,000 entries, yeah, that's not good.
Or, giving me the one that's slanted in the view that they want.
Yeah. I
I still have issues with them removing emails from my inbox. Because they were COVID related.
What?
Oh, you didn't hear that story?
mm-mm.
So during COVID, Dave Hammerly sent me an email and it removed it from my inbox. Like the view panel,
Yeah,
so it wasn't displayed in the list of emails. Now, I could put in, because I saw it come in, I didn't have time to read it, and like when I went back 15 minutes later, it was gone from the list. So if I did a search for Dave Hammerly, it would list it an email specifically for him,
mhm.
but in my roster on my inbox, it was not visible.
Weird. Okay.
It removed all those emails that he was sending me. And I was like, what the, I guess because they decided it was fake news or something. And they weren't letting me view it in my inventory or inbox roster.
Nice.
But if I went out and searched specifically for the senders, then I could see the emails.
Oh.
And I was like, that's ate up.
And I've had the experience where I have done a search and been presented with 2 things that were right and like 5 things that were wrong. So I contacted a real person and tried to explain to them, your search engine is doing some bad work here. and they started arguing with me about it. And that was worse than the circus. This is my wife, Julie.
Let's see.
That's me. We go around. I'm Steve.
I'm Barry.
I'm still Leroy.
He sent it.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Who is he again?
I don't know, something had popped up maybe a month ago on, on Google search that said something about opting in for,
Mhm.
for the, AI search, and I went, nope. I mean, I know there's a lot of just, but the old searches were more tagline or.
Yeah. My issue with AI,
David,
every time I tried to use it, because I know a lot of developers who are like, oh, it does all my coding for me. I'm sorry to hear that. Because I try to
Daisy.
give me a bash script to do this.
It can't.
It doesn't work. That didn't produce the results I asked for. I asked for this, I got this instead. Oh, you're right, we made a mistake here. What? How can you do that? And like 17 iterations later, it still isn't doing, and I'm not going for really difficult stuff.
Well, you're not giving enough detail.
Oh, no, I very specific.
My experience with doing the coding part was, by the time I was done frustrating around with getting sort of working code, it would have been easier just for me to write the code.
Yeah. Well, that's.
No, that's not what I wanted, do this.
I do appreciate that wasn't specific enough, because it makes people try to think specifically of how to solve a problem.
Yeah.
That's great. That helps with natural intelligence or whatever it is people have. But yet, artificial intelligence still doesn't really exist from my perspective. It's
Chat GPT and all its siblings and cousins are fancy chatbots.
Yeah.
That come up with some interesting,
regurgitate
they,
stuff that they've found.
they come up with some interesting things that seem like they're right until you start to go and check
Well,
yourself.
The only one that really I found interesting was, mammograms are an array, three-dimensional array of values. They have been able to go through with artificial intelligence.
Find everybody out there.
That those arrays predict